Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. And welcome to the show, y'all. Now, look here. Let me get straight to it, right? Now, Brandy, she's having to make a decision, right? Because dude done told her. He done told her. You know, I like you. This is the second date. But he's letting her know early in the game, right? You got to respect it. I like you, but if you want to see me again, I need you to understand some things about myself. So he told her all of the things that he's got going on with other women in other places and all this and that, right? He's laying it on the table. Because if he lets somebody into his circle, they need to be aware of what's going on because he ain't finna have no disruptions. He don't have to. He don't have to put up with none of that. So he's keeping it 100 all the way up and down the ladder. And she understands what that means. But she needs to make sure that Keith understands it because she really don't want to go this far. She don't want to go this far, but what did I tell you? She ride or die. All the way. And you know, a lot of people say they ride or die all the way, right? But I want you to think about something. All the way mean all the way. And sometimes in the game, you can't predict everything because you limit yourself to what it is that you're comfortable in doing. What you think the outcome is going to be. See, a good chess player anticipates what the other person might do and what they might have to do in response to the counter move. So when you say somebody is ride or die all the way till the wheels fall off, that means that that person is willing to do whatever, whatever it takes to achieve whatever it is y'all trying to achieve. But she got to be sure that this is what Keith wants. And she don't want him to say yeah. But she want him to be honest. So when she goes back home, she tell dude, hold up, let me think about that. You feel me? And that's understandable. He got it. And he said, you know, next time I'm in town, I'll call you, holler at me, let me know. Let me know. So Brenda goes back to the house and she's talking to Keith and she tells him how the date went. You know what I'm saying? And he's listening. He's listening. Now keep in mind, he's a manipulator. And he manipulates her for the benefit of them. That's what he wants her to understand. But it's all to his advantage. But see, like I told you, a lot of dudes in the streets got those insecurities. And he's no exception. So when he's listening to her talk, he's starting to feel some kind of way. In the back of his mind, he's thinking, did she want to sleep with dude? Is this something that she's saying or is this something that he's saying? But then he starts to think about the mission. The mission is to find out where everything's at. And how you gonna find out where everything at? We're just talking. You got to do something. You're going to have to do something. Think about what we're talking about here. We're talking about finding out where his stash is. And you think he's just going to tell somebody where his stash is just out of conversation. Nah, ain't nobody got no conversation that good. Ain't nobody got no conversation that good. Talk you straight about your money. None of that. So she got to be good. She got to be good. She got to be willing to go all the way. And Keith, he's sitting there, he's thinking, and he's looking at her. So he does what a lot of dudes will do when they want the female in the relationship to make the decision so they can say, well, you said you wanted to do it. Right? He's putting it on her. So he said, what you want to do? What do you think? And she's being smart and calculating, understanding that this is what he wants to do, but at the same time, her anxieties are kicking in. See what I'm saying? Remember, I told you she smoked a little weed, right, trying to calm herself down because all of the stuff that's going on around the house about her having to keep these secrets is causing her to have anxiety. So she's smoking a little weed to relax herself. So right now, in this moment, she's having an anxiety attack. She can't relax. So her brain, listen to me, her brain resorts back to street mode. He don't even know it. He don't know he's brought stress into the house, and he's putting the person that he says he cares about in a position where she's trying to please him, as opposed to thinking about what she learned in her drug and alcohol classes and all of this and that about doing what is best for you, and not letting somebody put you in a position where you start to try to please them. And when you put yourself in a position to please them and it's harmful to you, you'll do it anyway. And that's where she's at. She found herself back in that position. Back in that position. Keith had become the person that she wanted to please more than anything, more than herself. So now she's compromising her principles. She's compromising her principles because she wants to please him. Not recognizing that he's causing her problems. Not recognizing that he has become her enabler. He has become somebody that she cannot be around anymore. But she's trapped right now. Her heart is into it. And she's already crossed the line, and she can't even tell him because she's keeping a secret from him, because she's been keeping a secret from her parents. So now she's starting to hide everything, and that's how you get back into that. That's how you get back into that. So she says to him, I'll do whatever you want me to do, baby. I'm with you to the end. Well, that's all he wanted to hear. Because that, being a manipulator, that took him off the hook. Because she's saying, whatever you want me to do, she's going to do whatever he says. But it's going to be, in his mind, of her choice. Classic. Classic. So here's how he gets it. Totally about manipulation and distraction, right? He kisses her. He said, you know I love you. She said, I love you too. And this is the last one. We get this, we straight for life. Now let me explain something to you about how we do sometimes. You know, this is going to be a lot of money. Upwards to right at under $100,000 that they're going to get a piece. So he's going to get anywhere from $90,000 to $99,000, right? And his friend is going to get the same thing, right? So here's the thing. They got 30 from the first one, and they've been getting little licks here and there, whatever. They're getting it, right? But overall, he ain't even got $250,000, right? $500,000. He ain't even got that. And he's so naive, so immature to life, real life. He's telling her, he's convincing her, we're going to be set for life. Come on now. Come on now. More money, more problems. Especially when it comes from the streets. It don't work out like that. It don't work out like that at all. That's not a lot of money. It's a lot, but it's not a lot of money to set you for the rest of your life. The street game is tricking him, and he's tricking her. He wants to do this so bad he's lying to himself. So she said, I'll do it. They make love and do all of the things that you do when you're making love, and it's all wet and steamy in the room and all this and that, right? Everything is going down, okay? Now, it gets to the point where he calls her. The dope boy calls her. And he tells her he's going to be back in town, and he wants to see her if she wants to see him, you know? You hear what I said? He wants to see her if she wants to see him. She's got a decision to make. Even though she has told Keith that she'll do whatever it is, or whatever it takes she has to do to get the information that she needs, she's got to make this decision and say it to do. And she's feeling bad about it because she loves Keith, but she also understands. She also starting to understand that if he loved her the way she loves him, he wouldn't ask her to do this. Not at all. Not at all. But she says, yeah, anyway. Now, what is that? What is that? What would make her say yes to something that she knows is not in her best interest? She's clouded over. She's stressed out. Anxieties. Everything is high. So she's saying whatever it takes to bring her anxiety down. But it's not really working. So she smokes her little weed. takes her a little bump. She's feeling a little bit better about herself now. She's straight, but she slipped back over. She slipped back over, y'all. You understand what I'm trying to say? So now, she meets dude. And Keith, he's sitting at the house when she leaves, and he tells her, this is for us, baby. But he's sitting around the house while she's gone. He pacing the floor up and down, smoking a cigarette, drinking a beer, drinking some hen. He's doing all of these things to numb himself. But let me tell you something. See, I told you he had some addiction problems too. You know what I'm saying? But it's not as bad as hers. But now he's doing all these things to numb himself to what she getting ready to go do. He want this money. He want this money. And he does have care and love in his heart for her, right? But he can't get out of his head what it is she finna do. Because he had just made love to her the night before, a couple of nights before. And he had made love to her several times since they've been out. So he knows how good it is. He knows how good it is. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all know what I'm talking about. When it's good, ain't nothing like it. Ain't nothing like that connection. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Sweaty, wet, all of that. And now, she's finna get sweaty and wet with dude. But it's because of him. It's because of him. And he can't handle it. So he sipping a little hen, like I said, drinking a little beer, smoking a little cigarette. And now, he smokes him a little weed. Smokes him a little weed. Trying to deal with it. And he tells himself, this is the streets. This is what this is about. My gal got me. My gal got me. See, he just built that wall between reality and what he has to do to make it so he can cope with what's going on. His gal getting beat up by somebody else. You understand what I'm saying? That pounding. He hears everything and he imagines everything in every position and everything that she could be going through. And does she like it is what he's telling himself. Is it good? That's what he's telling himself. And he can't handle it. So he sits there and he smokes this weed. And then when she gets home, a couple hours later, right? She don't even smell like she smelt when she left. Because she took a shower before she came home. She didn't want to smell like another man when she came home. Right? So, Keith, not in his right mind, and she sees that he's high. She sees it. She said, are you all right? He's like, yeah. He said, how did it go? But in that sloppy drunk way. You know what I'm saying? Highway. She said, it was okay. And he said, what you mean? Not understanding that she's just trying to minimize it. She don't want to talk about this. She don't want to talk about this. He said, what you mean it was okay? Did he tell you what we need to know? And she said, no. No, he didn't tell me that. We just spent the night together. So he says, so that's it? You didn't find out nothing? He raises his voice at her, getting upset. And she was like, what did you think was going to happen? We already talked about this. It was understood. Did you ask him? She was like, no, I didn't ask him. It's not how I'm going to do this. So he asked me, how are you going to do it? You like him, don't you? You want to mess with him? You want to be with him? And she stops in her tracks. And she looks at him. And she tells him, I'm not doing this. I'm not finna argue with you about this. We already talked about this. And now you act like you can't handle it. So he catches himself. I can handle it. I can handle it. It ain't nothing to me. We trying to get this money. And when he said that, her anger lit up in her. Because what she heard him say is that he don't care nothing about her. This is about this money. He's so caught up in his own feelings. He's not thinking that she's putting her body out there for him. That ain't registering with him. what she's going through, the pain she's having to deal with, the anxiety that she's having. He's not thinking about all, he's thinking about himself. So she tells him, I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed. So she goes to get into bed and he lays on the couch that night. And while he's laying there, he starts to think, I'm finna mess this up. So he gets up and he goes to get into bed with her. And as he lays up beside her, he hugs her. And he kisses her on her ear and he tells her, you know, they what you call it, spooning, right? So he behind her, he kisses her on her, he said, you know I love you. And she's just staring straight ahead. She said, I know. I know. And then he laid there and they went to sleep. But see, he never even really seen the tear that ran down her face. He never even seen that. Because she feeling some kind of way. She feel like a straight prostitute. And she put herself back in this position. Now think about it. She's getting high again, right? So she can cope. She's hiding secrets from her family, making it look good. And now this dude that says he loves her got out on the strip prostituting, trying to find out where a dope boy has got his stash at, right? And she's thinking she ain't so sure he'll ever tell her what's going on. And it might take months, it might take years before he trusts her like that. And she's starting to think about all of this, and yet she's laid down with this man. She's made love to this man. And it was good. She's thinking about it. While Keith is hugging her, she's laying there. She done stopped crying. And now her eyes are closed and she's thinking about this dude that just made love to her. And she's starting to be aroused again. And she tells herself, I can't do this. I can't do this. So she blocks out those thoughts and she goes to sleep. Now Keith, the next morning he gets up and he goes to talk to his partner. He tells his partner what happened and everything and whatnot. He's shooting off and his partner's looking at him like, this is part of it, man. This is part of it. We talked about this. This is what it is. So ain't no point of you being upset. He said, this is how the streets work, man. And you told me she was ride or die. Is she really with it? And he let him know, look here, man, we can't mess this up. We can't mess this up. This is it. This the one that's going to put us on out there where we'll be super straight. We'll be straight. We don't have to do nothing no more. Again, thinking that this little money is going to set them up for life. They in their 20s. They in their 20s. Got 50, 60 more years of life if something don't happen. And they think this is all the money they're going to ever need. All the money they're going to ever need. But guess what? You remember that first dude they robbed? That dope boy they got for that 60. And they split and they got 30 apiece with a little dope. He ain't forgot nothing. He's still lurking. He's still lurking. And he's seen that these dudes are riding around. And he's wondering, okay, he know Keith got a job, but he don't know who this other dude is. Right? But he's looking at him like, man, something ain't right with this. Something is off. And now when he kicks it with his other dope boy friends, they all talking. They all starting to talk about him. Letting each other know because, they, like I said before, a couple of them think that they done got hit by them too. So they all talking. And they all decided, I'm taking no more losses. None at all. None at all. So one day, in one of these conversations, now some months have passed by. Months have passed by. And Brandon done slept with dude 3 or 4 times, man. You know, whenever he's in town and he wants to. That's how this works. He calls her. She don't call him. That's how this works. He wines her, dines her, and then they do what they do. And then he goes back out of town. Take care of his business. You know what I'm saying? He getting his money there, but he goes back out of town. And she's starting to see that, you know, he may never tell her anything. May never tell her anything. So now they got to reevaluate what's going on. But one of these times when he was in town, right, this dude, this first dope boy that they robbed, They happen to be out together. They happen to be out together. Now, Brandy, she don't know the dude that they robbed at first. She don't know none of these dudes. You know what I'm saying? He tells about dope boy this, dope boy that, but he don't never give her no detail. So she's out, and she's at the club when these dope boys are together and all this and that. They all got their females and, all this and that, but they're talking. And they're talking about Keith and his partner, but they're not saying their names. But they're talking about, they know these dudes have been doing this robbing. And they're talking all this killer talk. How they ain't nobody finna keep doing this. It's not allowed. It's gonna end one way or the other. So she gets nervous and she's listening. They never called Keith's name. They never called the other dude's name, but she's listening. Ears on perp. You understand what I'm saying? She's listening, just like a canine. She ain't missing a beat, but she's trying to act like she's not listening. She's trying to act like she's not listening. And they never say definitively what their plan is. They just say that they ain't gonna keep on putting up with it. They ain't gonna keep putting up with it. So later that night, dude, he knock her down again. And she goes home. And when she gets home, she tells Keith that they might need to call this off. Because they're talking about somebody that's been doing robbing and all this and that. Now, she don't know that the first dope boy that they robbed was one of those dope boys, but she tells him about these individuals. He knows who they are. And he plays like it's nothing. Because he's still playing dude weak based on how dude came to him about that 60. He's not taking this serious. It's not serious to him. He's not heeding the warning. And she's telling him, we might need to pull back on this. Now, his emotions are all involved. He really don't care what happens to her at this point. He don't. Because he's really, really upset with himself that he let her do it. You know what I'm saying? Let her go all the way with that. But in his mind, he's saying she did that to herself. She did that to her. So he's not really listening to her and what she's saying. He's upset about it. But he's got to play it all the way through. He ain't no sucker, Ain't that somehow we decide what makes us a sucker and what don't? So here's the thing. They continue to do what they're doing. She continues to do what she's doing. And they're trying to figure out how to get dude to talk. How to get him to talk. So Keith and his partner come up with an idea to tell Brandy, to say that, after she's with dude and all of this and that, let him know that, she might need a little help. Her situation is not too good right now. She's still working and all of this and that, but she done got behind on the rent. And see if he'll invite her to stay at his little spot when he's not there. Just until she gets back on her feet. She gets back on her feet. And she tells him she don't want to do that because how does she maneuver between the two places without somebody figuring out what's going on? What if somebody sees them? What if somebody sees them? And he's confident it won't happen. He's confident that it won't happen. So she talks to him the next time he comes into town, and he tells her, I can give you some money and get you a spot, but I really don't like nobody staying in my spot. Now, in that little reveal, he tells her that something, in her mind anyway, that's at this apartment, this particular spot, is valuable to him. He don't want nobody there when he's not there. Could be, couldn't be. So she goes back and she tells Keith, after they make love again that night, that he said no, but he would give her some money to help, get her straight. So they start thinking, okay, what if we just get a key? What if we just get a key and go up in there and just tear the place up? Because they've lost patience. Months have gone by, they've lost patience. So he tells her to get the key. Get the key, get a copy of the key, And then they going up in her the next time he goes out of town. So she tries to figure out how she's going to get this key and get it out of there and get it copied. Because when he does come in town, he spends a couple of days with her. You know what I'm saying? But he's never given her those keys. But he leaves the keys on the counter. You know how you got a counter in the kitchen and all this and that. He leaves them on the counter all the time, so he's not paying attention to it like that because he has started to trust her somewhat. So now she's got to get that key. And it's not as hard as she thought it was going to be. He went to sleep one day. She got the key. She went out, got a copy of the key, came back, put it right back where it was supposed to be. He never even thought to ask her about it. Never even thought that anything had happened. He was cool. Everything was straight. And she gives the key to Keith. Now Keith thinks that this is it. I'm going to take care of the business. We're going to get up there and then all of this stuff can end. You know what I mean? But it's not that easy. Again, he's taking for granted that everything is working out the way he calculates it, not anticipating what moves could be coming from the other side, right? He's not thinking about that. He's not thinking about that. But he's going to have to. And you're going to have to come back and listen to the next episode to see what moves Keith is making to ensure that this turns out right for him. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. And I say peace. I'm getting so tired.